The ad hominem argument, the fourth fallacy on this list, also, quote, personal attack and, quote, poisoning the well. The fallacy of attempting to refute an argument by attacking the opposition's intelligence, moral, education, professional qualifications, personal character, or reputation using a corrupted negative argument from ethos, from social understanding. Example, quote, that so-called judge, or, quote, he's so evil that you can't believe anything he says. He also, quote, guilt by association. The opposite of this is the, quote, star power fallacy. Another obverse of ad hominem is the token endorsement fallacy, where, in the words of scholar Laura Bassin, quote, individual A has been accused of anti-Semitism, but individual B is Jewish and says individual A is not anti-Semitic. And the implication, of course, is that we can believe individual B because, being Jewish, he has special knowledge of anti-Semitism. Or a presidential candidate is accused of anti-Muslim bigotry by someone, but someone finds a testimony from a Muslim who voted for said candidate, and this is trotted out as evidence against the candidate's bigotry. The same fallacy would apply to a sports team offensively named after a marginalized ethnic group, but which has obtained the endorsement, freely given or paid, of some member, traditional leader, or tribal council of that marginalized group, so that the otherwise offensive team name and logo magically become, quote, okay and non-racist.
Definitely. So I thoughts, but I want to know what you think of this one.
Yeah, I think this is used really often.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say really often, like in like I see it all over the place, but like I can recall like.
Oh yeah, shit is all over the place. This is like the biggest one.
Yeah, or like like I think the classic, like I think it's now more of a joke in pop culture. The whole thing where it's like, I can't be racist, I have a black friend. Like it's like that classic thing. And I think that also, like, yeah, I think it's used. I think it's used really frequently. I don't know. In my own experience of it, whenever it is used, it's like it feels like, I don't know if you get this experience. The experience I get, like when someone tries to pull this off, and they're actually trying to pull it off, like not faking it, but it's real. Yeah. I'm always like, do you think I'm a child, or like what? Like what are we doing?
Well, yeah, because it's what makes fallacies so powerful is that it takes so much language to debunk them than to do them.
That makes sense.
And so that's why they could get away with it, because in order to describe why this is false, someone could just call you stupid in the meantime, and they have the perceived win.
Yep. Right, because I wonder, is this a fallacy in here too? Because this, to me, actually, I'm actually very familiar with what I'm about to like share from personal experience, and it often worked like in the person's favor. Is there anything in here about like whoever speaks first is right because they spoke first, or because they?
Yeah, that's a totally different fallacy. That's a totally different one. Yeah, if you want to say that, you can, but you can share it if you want. It's
No, I was in a. It's just interesting, right? It's like, I feel like the ad hominem argument.
It's called anchoring bias, by the way.
Anchoring bias. Okay. But like, I think that it like plays along kind of similar lines. It's like, not, of course, there's a totally different fallacies, but it's like, this one is like, hey, I have this person who says that, or I have this. We'll go back to the skin color example. It's like, okay, I have this black friend, therefore I can't be racist. It's like, okay.
Well, this is the token endorsement fallacy. So this fallacy actually has two fallacies within it.
Okay, got it.
There's the ad hominem, which is it's saying, hey, you're homeless and therefore you should have no knowledge on how to take care of kids, is something that somebody actually told me. Which, sorry, but the conclusion does not follow from the premise.
Yeah.
You have to come up with a different reason. Ad hominem is normally used in a negative sense, but also it can be used in the positive sense, which would be the token endorsement version, where because I'm homeless, therefore Alan knows me, and now Alan has a lot of knowledge about what homeless people need. No.
Right. No, I have absolutely no knowledge of what it is like or what this could be a homeless person. For clarity.
Okay. And then, so sorry, I cut you off. You were saying
no. It's when you said that a lot of the times fallacies are easier to
do.
They're easier to do than to it requires less energy and it requires less explanation and effort to debunk than it to do than it is to debunk.
Right.
It's like that to me. It's like
that's how Trump gets away with all of this shit, because he does so many fallacious reasoning like every moment, and it's like I need 10 times the amount of time to debunk everything he said within the time that I have, and I can't do it. It's not possible.
And it's like I remember being in a relationship once where like the person that I was with was very witty. They were very smart. And so as they were being very witty and very smart, oftentimes they would say something very quickly. And it was often framed as because this person could say something faster than I could, therefore they were right and I'm wrong and I'm the idiot and they're smart.
Oh, that's Ben Shapiro's whole career. Right there.
Oh, yeah, totally. So it's like it's interesting. It's like it all kind of falls in that. I'm just noticing a common thread is all I was getting at with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So ad hominem is one of the biggest ones where just because somebody is something, therefore it means they are wrong or they are right. I've been guilty of this fallacy, and I'll admit this, that in 2012 I would argue that Mitt Romney wasn't a good candidate because he was Mormon, and that Mormon is all about Christian nationalism, and I was very much against that. Mitt Romney would have been a bad candidate for different reasons, but that's not the reason. That can't be the reason, because it's fallacious.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Good call. Thank you for the vulnerability.
Absolutely. I'll just say this right now. Because I want people to celebrate this. Being wrong is indistinguishable from learning something new. And you should always take pride in acknowledging what you did wrong.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Rather than shame. Because people think it's an attack, and it's not.
The nice part at dropping the bombs this morning on this wonderful California and Texas morning.
Yes. Now, these are the last time we did this, these 4 fallacies, it felt like rocked your world. And we're about to do that, going into some new fallacies. But do you want to share why you want to go through this list? Just being reminded why after reading these 4, we chose to start recording this.
Yeah, I'd say for me, it was 2 things. One, to confirm, yes, it did rock my world. But it was 2 things. One is I, in the line of work that I'm doing and where it is that it's like, in the line of work that I'm doing,
I could link your stuff, by the way, in the description.
Yeah. So that's absolutely fun. Speaking, coaching, creating experiences for people to have their own personal breakthroughs and etc. It requires me to speak a lot, and in that profession and with the obsession of how do I help someone, how do I serve somebody, I've noticed in my own journey that in my obsession with how I help someone, how do I help them have a breakthrough, how do I help them have a realization, how do I help them release emotional tension, etc., whatever that is, sometimes in the obsession of how do I get that result, I've noticed as we went through this list, instances where I used some of these fallacies as a way to get to the result, regardless of the method used. And as I thought about this, I was like, that's not going to work. Like, it's not going to work, from a logistical standpoint. I think that people today are becoming much more intelligent, and specifically the kind of person that I want to serve, they're already a pretty aware person. And I would even argue the person I want to serve is a skeptical person, because they've been burned by enough stuff in the industry or in the world that they're really keeping a sharp eye for who's full of shit and who isn't. So it's like, oh, I need to learn this from a logistical standpoint, because if I don't, then I'm going to find myself leaning on logical fallacies instead of evidence and factual, using facts. But then on a more emotional standpoint, it was like, I have always, since I was a little kid, have had an obsession with being precise and exact with my language. That I had this belief that it's like communication is just about being able to match the correct words with the experience that actually happened versus being lazy with language. And I found that in reading this, I felt consistently challenged in a good way. On taking
take it, learning something new or doing something wrong, take it as pride rather than shame.
Yeah. And I found myself consistently challenged, as you and I were talking, on cultivating more specificity with language, specificity, and like factual application, because I desire for people to be able to draw their own conclusions ultimately. And I think that when people are using more logical fallacies, what ends up happening is, without maybe not necessarily intending to, what they're doing is they're just like DNA and RNA will copy themselves into another subset. I think that what someone's doing then is just copy and pasting their own belief systems onto each other, versus allowing people to have the ability to derive their own beliefs and their own conclusions. And so ultimately, that's the reason why I wanted to hop into this, because I noticed myself being challenged on specificity, challenged myself on my definition. And when I'm speaking and doing the work that I'm doing, I want people to be able to find their own conclusions as a result of my work, not be a copycat or a copy of Alan's belief system.
I love it. I have read through this list before, because my goal is to be a science communicator at some point, whether that be through entertainment or just like directly doing it on this channel. I think the world that we receive today is because of a lot of fallacious reasoning. I think the more that we are knowledgeable about how other people are being fallacious and ourselves, the better society will be. And logic is the science of reasoning. So this is indeed science.
With that, we're conducting experiments in real time.
Yeah. Well, there are two subject matters that are absolute, and that is mathematics and logic. And so I think in order to not have any circular reasoning, we need to start with a solid foundation. And so I think my goal is to memorize these at one point. So with the great